most of the time in high school football, kids don't really have that love for their football field. You know, it's like you're gonna come play on here 4 years and move on, and you'll see that football field every now and then, have a few memories, and that's it. But I feel like it's different here at Eminence. You know, the people that you grew up watching and the players you wanted to be like played on this field, and growing up you want to play on this field. There's a few bumps and holes in the field, but this field is just it's so amazing. So many memories, so many great players, and I just love that field.
All right, 7-on-7. So for 3 years, we've been in this own county tournament. We've been trying to win, but we always fall short at like championship game or losing these big teams. But we actually pulled through this year. Surprisingly, I thought we were going to lose to Western Hills and Simon Kenton, but we stayed strong and fought to the end and caught the W.
So what did I see from this team in 7-on-7 that gave me something to look forward to? The first thing was just the ability to compete. I feel like these guys never quit. We started off with Grant County in a 7-on-7, which is a 5A school. We played we played pretty well for that being an early test for us. It was our first look and first go around with another team with other competition. So I was just curious to see how we kind of ran the offense and ran the defense, a new system, something new to the kids. But I would say probably the highlight to me in the summer during 7-on-7 was winning the the Owen County 7-on-7. We played really well in pool play. We only lost one game in pool play. We beat Carroll County. We faced some good teams, but beating Simon Kitten, which has a great tradition, a great football tradition, makes it to the semifinals or the region finals. It seems like, if I'm not mistaken, at least 6 out of the last 10 years they played deep into the playoffs in 6A. Very, a great football tradition, and we were able to be in a 1A team who only used probably 10 players in that 7-on-7 to go out and beat them. I think that was a big plus for our team.
Myself. Guys, this is the perfect way to kill yourself. If I just let all my muscles go limp right now, my head would come off.
The idea behind the Midnight Madness, in the state of Kentucky, you cannot practice in full pads and actually hit against other players until August the 1st. So something that a lot of schools are starting to do across the state, and something that I like to implement is that midnight practice. On July 31st, as soon as the clock hits midnight, we go out and have our first intra-squad scrimmage, just because that's the first legal day that you can actually go full pads and hit against someone else. I think it's exciting for the kids. I think it's exciting for the community, the family. It's the first look of the new year, if you will. First chance people really get to see the new kids and see some football action. And one thing that we did this year, since the kids were already going to be up here at midnight, we just decided to make it a lock-in. I think that builds team chemistry. It kind of lets you hang out with your teammates and see them outside of football and kind of get to know them a little bit in their hobbies. We had cornhole, we had video games, we had a talent show. Just get them out of their comfort zone and seeing their friends who they may never really hang out with or talk to outside of football or outside of the locker room in a different environment. I just think that really builds some team chemistry. This part about practice here at Eminence, I would say is two things. Number one is depth. I have been in a program for the last 5 years where we had 60 plus kids on the team. So if one kid misses practice or if one kid gets hurt, We got somebody else to plug in. We also could go 11 on 11 and actually get game like action and simulate what we're going to see on Friday nights. Here at Edmonds, that's not the case. On average, we probably had 19 or 20 at practice, which isn't 22, so we don't even have enough to really go 11 on 11. I think that depth and numbers is probably the biggest struggle and the hardest thing to get used to for me anyway, about practice. Number two would probably just be the facilities and what you have to work with. I know whenever I first got here, we had two footballs. Two footballs. If it's raining or muddy, it's hard to practice because the grass is unusable. You don't want to tear your game field up, and the practice field is just becomes slop, if you will. But I do understand that we're not the only school in the state that has these issues. A lot of people are starting to go toward turf or better grass, Bermuda or something like that. But I understand we're not the only ones that haven't got there yet. I do think that we will get there eventually. But those are probably the two biggest struggles that I feel like I've dealt with since taking the job here today.
You pull your pants up. What are you doing? It was crazy. Coming in as a freshman, we had a coach in Ty Lawson, and he was with us 3 years, and he was a run first team. When Coach Roberts came in, we knew there was going to be a change, but we didn't know it was going to be as drastic. But it was an amazing change. We immediately changed to a pass-first offense, but our running back still put up a lot of numbers. So that it just improved everybody's stats, and I think we won a lot more games with it.
This year going into a new offense, I knew that my runs were going to be cut short, but it didn't bug me at all because I knew as long as we were winning, I didn't care. And seeing my boy Jay and Mano and all them get their looks and doing what they did this season was great. And at the end of the season, I still ended up with 1,400 yards, which is a lot. And it didn't bug me at all that we were a pass-first offense because I knew that in the time of need that we could always come back to the run and come back to me, and I could help the team out and help us do whatever we needed to do to get the win.
Coach Roberts? Yeah, I really like him. He was a great coach, and I actually knew him pretty well before the football season even started because we play Xbox together all the time, and we got busy on 2K.
I believe this year was a great season. It was a great way to end senior year and a big football high school career. I believe everybody played a really big part in the defense and offense, but my role, I believe I did pretty good this year. And one of the top leading tacklers on the team and a pretty big deal on the offensive line. And I think it was just a great season overall. They don't call me Team Money for no reason. The hype this year was unbelievable. Brendan led the hype team off the field, and I believe I led the hype on the field. And I was godly at it. The locker room, the field, the bus, anywhere you go, Team Money's name's in the air. So y'all know who I am.
So coming from a big school, my brother's a coach for the football team. So one thing that made me want to do the hype team and lead the hype team was that I wanted to give my brother something that he can look over to the stands and just feed off the hype. And I noticed that the first game of the season we had a really big turnout, and the football players loved it. And so ever since then we got more people to come out, and it was amazing. And then I noticed that the players started to get into it. They started waving their hands, hyping us up. We would feed off the hype, and we would just go at it. And I think that was really big a reason why we had such a successful season this year. Not only the incredible athletes that we had on the team, but I also think that with the hype team, we were able to feed into them and allow them and let them know that the students at the school are here for them finally, because after 4 years, when they, from freshman to senior year, they didn't have that. They haven't had that. Emmons hasn't had a hype team. So I think it was my duty as a senior with all these kids that I've grown up with, all my friends, and my brother being somebody that I always look up to. I think that this is amazing.
Start the buses! Start the buses! Start the buses! Start the buses! Start the buses!
I'm really excited about going to Louisville. You know, it's always been a dream of mine to play at Louisville, and I never in a million years thought I'd get there. But you know, God got my back, you dig, and blessed me with this little PWO. So now I just gotta go in there and work my ass off again, like it was freshman year.
Mano's a freak athlete, you know. It's here at a small school. You don't get to see many athletes like that, but I will say it was nice being able to get the ball in his hands and know something crazy was gonna happen, or you know, like on defense, he was never a problem, and I'm very happy for him to get to go to the next level. I know him and his family have always loved Louisville, and I think it's a great opportunity. Though he rubs it in our face every now and then, I think he's a great dude, and he deserves it.
He gonna miss. Rap. Yeah. He gonna miss.
What's wrong with him?
So I think this season went phenomenal. I mean, it was obviously my first year as a head coach. I learned a lot. I learned a whole lot. We had a great senior class. I think that we exceeded some expectations. We were able to win a playoff game, the second playoff game in school history. We were able to beat Frankfurt for the first time in 21 years. So there were a lot of highs, a lot of good moments this season. It didn't end the way we wanted it to, but as I was always told, the state of Kentucky has 6 classes, and it only ends the way that you want it to for 6 teams in the state. Only one team in 1A ended their season the way that they expected it to, and that's at the state championship. But I think that we finished 9-3. We put up some great numbers. There was a lot of excitement. I feel like the crowds were continued to grow throughout the season, and we were able to host a playoff game. Things like that just kind of makes me very proud, and I would say that we had a phenomenal season and exceeded some expectations for sure.
All right, so senior year, I think I did pretty good. To me, I feel like I had a slow start, but fought it through the end. You know, we lost our quarterback halfway through, and I thought that hurt us badly, but we did all right since he wasn't there. Still ended up winning them games.
Sophomore season, just started special teams. Very slow often started offense, according to someone not coming to practice. During special teams, ran down there just every so often, hit somebody, made a tackle every so often. Then once I got into the off season, tried to get some more weightlifting on, had to get all the weights up to start. New coach came in. He said I'm gonna have to be a big part of the offense. I had to buy into what he was telling me. Once the season started, he told me look for the ball a lot because quarterback's gonna be looking for me. But before the season even started, he asked me how many yards do I think I was gonna get, and I said 300 all-purpose. And he said, well, according to what our offense is, you're gonna have that in 2 to 3 games. And I didn't believe him at first, but once we started going, once we got the season started, we just started moving on, progressing. I just started feeling good because once Justin started throwing me the ball, I just felt comfortable. And once I started scoring, I just felt like I was a part of the offense and Justin could just target me. Like I was just one of the guys he was looking at, like Mano was his sophomore season. And I feel like I was just one of those guys he could just depend on.
I think my biggest impact on the team was that I brought life to the team. I was always clowning around and was last in conditioning every time. I think that really helped.
Growing up, I usually wanted to be an offensive player, but then my sophomore season, I had to change to a defensive player because we had a whole bunch of weapons on offense. That kind of went well because I started at linebacker, had like 62 tackles and interception, all that, just causing havoc on the defense.
So this year, I thought we had a very successful season, and I thought it was a very good turnout from us going from non-district into our district, not knowing what we were getting into, but with all the senior leadership and all of the younger guys pitching in, even if they didn't play a lot or they played a lot, they were a big help to our team and really showed us that we could win and do something with our season, even though nobody else thought we could.
This season was crazy, man. We started off pretty hot. We got to week 4, and I suffered a pretty crazy injury. I ended up fracturing part of my spine and had to sit out a month. But the team played great without me. Junior wide receiver Adrian Bailey had to step in to play quarterback, and Marshall and Menno, they couldn't be stopped during those weeks. I came back and I felt like I was better than ever. I appreciated the game a little bit more, knowing that it could be taken away from you at any moment. And I think the season was better than any of us expected.
So for next season, obviously we return a few. We lose quite a bit, but we do still return some guys. I know Adrian Bailey's coming back. Tay's coming back. Desmond's coming back. Dawson, Chibe. So we return some guys who played a lot of minutes for us this year. These guys now in spring ball, we'll just be able to start rolling. We don't have to teach a whole new system. They already know the system. We don't have to really go back and implement anything. So I feel like now, as soon as spring hits, we're able to just start rolling, start working on technique and game planning and things like that. So I'm looking forward to the guys that's returning. We play the same schedule. I know we're going to have a target on our back every night, especially the teams that we beat this year. That we're going to have a target on our back, and they're going to come out, and obviously want to revenge that loss from last year. But I think we have a nice core to work with, and some. We are going to need some young guys to kind of step up and fill some roles of some kids that we're losing. I added it up the other day, and we're losing 40. I think it was 45 or 46 total touchdowns. And if you do the math, that's a lot. We're losing a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of productivity. But we got some guys coming back who I think can fill those roles, and I'm just looking forward to getting started again.